I'm not going to say all these standard things like, I'm so happy to be here, blah, 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 blah. Because I don't like Germans, actually. No, seriously. Yeah. One thing, two reasons. One thing, you always add an umlaut to my name. I don't like that. I'm Dutch, right? We don't do the umlaut thing in the Netherlands, right? I consider the Dutch even more efficient than the Germans. We don't need umlauts. And another thing, very often when I am in Germany, particularly in the south of Germany, people tease me and say, so, did you bring your mobile home? Where's your caravan? I'm serious, this has happened like 3-4 times already. I was thinking, what is this thing with caravans and Dutch people? Well, my German friend said, well, usually the highways in Germany here in the south in the spring and summer are all clogged up with Dutch people and their mobile homes, etc. So no, you're just teasing me. You're just pulling my leg here. I'm quite sure. So I once did a test. Right? I once drove all the way from Rotterdam, my hometown, all the way to the Balkan countries, all the way through Germany. I thought, I'm going to count the number of times I see a Dutch mobile home versus a German one. So I started. Dutch, German, Dutch, Dutch, German, Dutch, 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 Dutch. Oh my God. It was true. I felt so embarrassed. But I found out something very important. All those mobile homes and caravans are German brands. You sell them to us, okay? We're just bringing them back. There must be something wrong with them. Anyways, so, well, let's pretend that I'm happy to be here. This talk is called Managing for Happiness After All. And I have some stories for you to tell in these next 60 minutes or so. But first I need a sip of water. Here's my little bottle. All right. So, they are hated by 1 billion people in the world. They're seen as untrustworthy, narcissistic, inauthentic bullies. Right? And they drive you all completely nuts, the managers. Let's say your manager is Bill. You once negotiated for a higher fee or salary with Bill, but Bill said that sadly, there was no budget left after he received his raise or bonus. Remember that? Or you asked Bill for a better computer or work phone that he didn't give you, and he emailed his rejection from his glass fiber titanium case nuclear power station. Correct? Mm-hmm. I know these stories very well because I am almost reluctant to admit I was a manager like Bill. All right. Yeah. So in my defense, I was actually a software developer. Studied software engineering at the university in Delft, all that stuff. Yes, I know what classes and interfaces and objects are and all that crap, but I was probably so bad at programming that my teammates begged our CEO to promote me away into management. And so I became a development manager, team leader, development manager, ultimately chief information officer. And I didn't know how to do that well. I didn't know how to manage people. I had no clue, like other managers, how to work with human beings. For me, I drove the organization like a machine. And for me, developers were computers on legs with hair. Right? I tried to program them, didn't work. Debugging was even worse, I can tell you that. Anyways, so I was a crappy manager. I sucked at management. All the companies I worked for collapsed, and I was not very happy. I remember, I considered renting myself out as a secret weapon. Hire me and get me a job at your competitor. I will manage them to destruction, I can tell you. It was an interesting business model idea. Anyways, but now everything has changed. People ask me for advice on how to run their businesses, and I travel the world sharing stories and practices on how to better manage software companies and other kinds of creative businesses. And it all comes down to this: manage a system for happiness and aim towards a purpose with better products, with meaning. We need more companies with purpose, I think. We need more Apples and Teslas and Amazons, and not to have your next smart watch delivered to you by a smart drone while you're driving your smart car. Who cares? No, we want products that have meaning. We want nanobots, solar power, gene therapy, quantum computers, medical virtual reality. I have absolutely no idea what this means. I asked on Twitter, what do you think is important in the 21st century? People said this, so I just copied it, whatever. So apparently this is what people find important, this kind of stuff, because it helps build meaningful products and services. And I think the purpose of management is making organizations valuable to people and planet. Sadly, there is no one silver bullet to achieve this. There's no one best way. But I changed from being a terrible manager to a not so bad manager with 7 silver bullets. I'm going to show you some examples. Let's say your manager is Taffy, and Taffy once organized company lunch meetings at meeting room C, also known as the graveyard. And she fed everyone pizzas and PowerPoints in the hope that afterwards all the employees would feel engaged. But none of your colleagues said, "Those slides full of bullet points and clip art were so inspiring." And nobody said, "When is the next event scheduled in my free time?" If you know managers like Taffy, let's do a quick scientific test here. If you know managers like Taffy, at the count of 3, say Daffy Taffy. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. That's about 67.4% of the audience know someone like Taffy. That's a reasonable number. I organized such lunch meetings as well in the past, but I changed to a better practice. I know that change is easier when people share food, so I once invited my colleagues to my house for dinner. And there was random people that I invited, 2 programmers, an account manager, project manager, a system administrator, and the chief vice president of pencils and paper clips. The day before they arrived, I found myself some easy-to-make recipes. That means German, not French, for example. And I prepared the kitchen, I fetched the groceries, and when my guests arrived, I told them, "And now you do the cooking. Surprise!" After they had recovered from the shock, the 2 programmers would self-organize and take care of the main course. The account manager and the project manager would collaborate on the appetizers. The system administrator would take care of the desserts. And being a system administrator, did not allow anyone access to the chocolate without permission and filling out a form. And I simply watched other people doing hard work. Typical management role, I suppose. And I did that 6 or 7 times and was always a success. People loved it and noticed that I didn't manage the people. I managed the system around them, the environment. They did the hard work. They strengthened, they self-organized in my kitchen, and they strengthened ties across departments. They baked lasagna in my favorite salad bowl, okay? And for at least a few hours, there was happiness in the kitchen. I got other people at the company asking me, "Hey, I heard people have been cooking for you at your house. It's ridiculous. But when do I get an invite? I can cook." We're more popular than Taffy's lunch meetings, I can tell you. So here's another example. Let's say your manager's Jim. Jim once celebrated a big sales contract, maybe with a little party for the sales department, but he sort of forgot to ask the production team, the software teams, if the new delivery deadline was even statistically possible and something worth celebrating. Let's do another scientific test. If you know managers like Jim, at the count of 3, say, swimmy Jimmy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, 89.2 of the audience. 89.2% of the audience. That's quite significant. There's nothing wrong with celebrating sales if the rest of the organization finds reasons to celebrate as well. All right? So I once discussed this with my CEO. I said, our team should have reasons to celebrate things. We should help them to maybe to make a bit of noise or something. 2 weeks later, he came to my desk with a big copper ship's bell. He said, here's a bell. Now start celebrating. And I was like, whoa, awesome. So I brought the bell to the office manager, I mean. And I asked her to put the bell next to the coffee machine. From that moment, anyone in the organization was allowed to ring the bell to celebrate success or to celebrate a learning experience, a product delivered, a baby delivered. It didn't matter. Anything was allowed. And the bell added a bit of playfulness to the office. It also added a huge fucking noise for 5 seconds when somebody rang it. And then 100 very curious and slightly deaf employees would gather around the coffee machine to learn what the celebration was all about. The last time I heard the bell was when the CEO announced to the whole company that I had just quit my job. This may have saved the company, I think. Anyways, it is important to note that for me, this bell was a learning an experiment, running an experiment. And I thought, can I create an organization, a culture where people just drop their work and celebrate something together? Well, it turned out that I could. And by running more of these experiments, I started learning faster. Do I look good like this if I take a picture with my hand gestures and stuff like that? Is that good? Thank you. Or I want that picture, by the way. So here's an interesting anecdote. This is completely off record. Don't tell anyone. But I received an email from a company in Poland just 1 or 2 months ago. They said to me, Jurgen, we tried the bell, didn't work. How is that possible? Well, the email said, we tried it a few times, and it was fine. But then one of the software developers rang the bell for announcing to the whole company that he had had great sex the night before. After that, nobody wanted to ring the bell anymore. You have to be a speaker or author. The things that people email you, it's solid gold, I can tell you. It's awesome. Okay, so the bell doesn't work anymore somewhere in Poland. Anyway, it's a learning experience too. I have a few more examples. Let's say your manager is Mick. You once asked Mick for some budget to attend a conference, maybe Developer Week or something. Or you just wanted to be allowed to work from home for a few days, or something else, maybe a better job title that is more accurate. But no matter what you ask for, Mick always says, no. No, sorry, we cannot do these things around here. Last scientific test, I promise you. If you know managers like Mick, who say no to just about everything, at the count of 3, tricky Mickey. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, that is even, I think that was 92% in the range of 92%. That's quite a lot. Managers make employees sign contracts. And the problem with contracts is they limit people's freedoms and also maybe their happiness. That is why I have decided to have no contracts with my current team. It's an experiment. This is the result of the experiment so far. They seem happy to me. If any one of them says, next month I would like to work from Bali at half of my productivity, I say, well, we have no contracts specifying your working hours and location, so go for it. We will figure out how it works. Basically, they're all freelancers, but we're still a team. When one of them says, I want a more accurate job title, well, they write their own job titles, I tell you. We have a chief geek, we have a zookeeper, We have a project bottleneck. Seriously. I don't know how they come up with these titles. I think my own title of Emperor, God, Overlord suits me quite well. So, yeah, they make their own job titles. And I believe that having no contracts forces us to keep everyone happy. Because at any moment, any one of the team members can say, screw you guys, I'm out of here. It is suspiciously similar to being a group of friends. Does anyone sign contracts with their friends? I don't. I just hope they stay with me and stay friends. So some people see this as innovative management. I don't know if that's true. It's an experiment, that's for sure. But I do know that it helps us to focus, not on time and locations and titles, but on meaningful products and services that we make with each other. It is one of the worst management practices that I have ever experienced. In one company where I worked, top management wanted to incentivize their employees through a bonus system, sharing some of the company's profits. In order to do this, the CFO had a big spreadsheet full of data about everyone. It included people's current salaries, seniority levels, clocked hours, overtime hours, performance ratings, years of employment, sick days, and much more. I'm very sure somewhere in there it also had everyone's keystrokes per minute, lines of code per day, and toilet breaks per week or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, based on all this data and the company's annual profits, the spreadsheet would calculate everyone's individual bonuses. Right? I remember one year when the company profits were not that high, some people got a bonus of a staggering 20 euros. I kid you not. How many of you think that these employees felt incentivized? I think it would have done less damage to their motivation if they had been paid with fish-flavored peanuts or something like that. Oh my God. Anyways, so how did I change from being a bad manager to not that bad? Well, I showed you the 7 silver bullets already. Let's look at them again one by one. We can only address the world's biggest challenges with products and services that have meaning. This requires innovation in delivery, which is only possible with innovative management. Well, due to the ever-increasing pace of change in the world, innovation nowadays needs faster learning. Learning is optimal, say the researchers and scientists, when we run more experiments all the time. As children, we learned long ago that experimentation is part of playing. Right? But people only play and run experiments when they're feeling good and having fun and being happy. Finally, as managers, we cannot make people happy, but we can certainly manage the environment for more happiness. And that's it. Those are the 7 silver bullets. Are there any managers in the room? Any managers? Yep, no managers? Mm-hmm. To make this easier for the managers, I have redesigned this slide as a boring list of 7 bullet points. I can even point at it with my laser beam to make it more impressive. Anyways, so with these 7 silver bullet points, you can now be a better manager by starting by managing the system for happiness and ending up with more innovative products with meaning. I'm going to give you a few more examples. I was once at a conference in Barcelona a couple of years ago where there was a keynote speaker, Jim McCarthy. Maybe some of you have read his books, Software for Your Head and several others. And he said, this was an Agile conference. He said, you have one thing wrong at the Agile community everywhere. You're always focusing on co-location. Thou shalt have a Scrum team in the same room, otherwise you end up in hell, or something like that. He said, it is not about co-location. It is useful to be in the same room. Of course, that is great if you can achieve that. But the trends are in the opposite direction. Flex time, distributed teams, globalization, etc. People spread out. I have a team of 12 people. We're on 4 continents. We're like a micro multinational, as they call it today. So he said, you need something else to achieve mental closeness, as he called it. Because it's not about geographical closeness, it's about mental closeness between the people. And I sat in the audience and I thought, of course, that's it. You should be mental close with your team members. Who cares where you are? My best friend lives in San Francisco. I'm going to see him on Friday. I look forward to that. He's still my best friend. Who cares he's in San Francisco? So, I came up with a practice called personal maps. I thought, if we want to dig into a topic, we usually make mind maps. So what if that topic is a person, a colleague, a team member, or me, myself, and I? So this is a mind map of Jurgen, without umlaut. Hint. And education, work, hobbies, family, it's all here. You can dig into this topic if you want. I asked my team members to make similar personal maps. This is one by Lisette, our remote office worker, or zookeeper, as she calls herself. And the trick with personal maps is you're not allowed to present your personal map. Because, well, this is a developers conference, so probably we do not have any extroverts in this room. But usually the extroverts will just go on and on and on and on and on and on about how interesting they are. It's not allowed. No, you make your personal map, you offer it, and then other people have to ask questions. So the team asks questions like, hey Lisette, why did you have pink hair over here? And Lisette says, oh, well, I was 19 years old, it was for 1 or 2 years, you know, these things that you do when you're young. And then we have a great discussion about the silly things that we did when we were young. It is so awesome to have such a conversation with a team member. Here's another example. This one is by Hannu, who is our web developer. And you can see that Hannu is from Finland because there's almost nothing on the personal map. Seriously, my friends in Finland pride themselves on the fact that they never use too many words. They have to, because the Finnish language has words 5 times longer than in any other language. They have to be economical there. My name is Hannu. I am from Finland. All right, Hannu, where in Finland? Helsinki. Great. So, well, ultimately we got a conversation going. Hannu was awesome, by the way. Great guy. I met him just a few months ago in Helsinki, obviously. Here is one by Sergey, who is obviously our software architect. There's nothing wrong with these personal maps. They're awesome. They're great people. Sergey lives in Russia. He can't help that. St. Petersburg. He's a fantastic guy. And these are just different ways of people expressing themselves. This is like the opposite. This is Dave, one of my workshops that I did a year or 2 ago. Terry and Nicole, I love it when people get all colorful, using markers, etc. This one is by, oh my God, Julio. Engineering manager, of course. Wonderful. It's so cool. I love them all, no matter what they look, because these are people expressing themselves, and that is what I value. So this was an experiment, and it was a successful experiment. And now my team demands to see the personal map. So if any new team member joining, last month it was Sam from Spain. We wanted to see the personal map. We had a whole 30-minute discussion just about her map. It's so awesome. I have a few more examples of things that you can be doing. Sometimes I ask people at companies, what's the purpose of your company? And then they mumble something like, I don't know, some pleasing customers or something, making money, whatever. Very uninspiring. I find that an interesting topic. What is the purpose of organizations? Why are we doing these things together as a business? I'll give you some examples of why I do these things that I am doing. Here's an email I got from Carol. Your art and ability to capture ideas visually is really fantastic. Just scrolling through is a buffet for the brain. I love that. Carol must be a poet or something like that. A buffet for the brain. Awesome. This one is by Betsy. Your English is remarkably good. Betsy is obviously a very intelligent person. You can see that already. You have an incredible feel for the rhythm and idiom of English. You're doing a magnificent job, and the text is a pleasure to read. Oh, thank you, Betsy. I printed it, and I have it above my bed, and I look at it every night. Thank you so much. Note, by the way, that Betsy is one of the few people in the world who knows how to spell the word idiom, because usually when people email me, they spell it incorrectly with the letter T at the end, which is, of course, silly. Here's another one. My greatest thanks for your astonishing book. Every page I read makes me wish to become a manager someday. Oh my God, no. More managers. The whole point of my books is better management with fewer managers. I failed. Oh well, the email is appreciated nonetheless by Hamed from Iran. I love getting such emails. Royalty statements from publishers are also very nice. But when I look back at the moments when I felt proud, when I felt happy, it was not getting a royalty statement and sending it to the bank with a check. No, it is getting such emails of people saying, hey, you're doing a good job, and this is helpful for me. And that is important, right? So there is some purpose, some goal apparently in there. I found something similar in other organizations. This is a picture where my best friend took me in the Bay Area in San Francisco, one of the best Persian restaurants. They have a wall full of awards that they won, newspaper articles, compliments by customers. Apparently, they pride themselves on the fact that they are the best Persian restaurant in the Bay Area. Ask me for the address next time you go there. So this is like their little altar. This is their exposition of what it means for them to run their business. Here's another one. I took these pictures at VUGA in Berlin, games company. This was a picture sent to me from France. I have absolutely no idea what they're doing at that company. What is the robot in a tutu? But they're proud of it, which is awesome. This is their work exposition, right? They make an exhibition of their work, which is difficult sometimes when you're just creating digital products. Like with my team, we don't even have an office. We work in a distributed way. So what I consider our work exposition is the videos that we have on YouTube. That is a reflection of the stuff that we're doing. And that is perhaps fulfilling the role of giving us a sense of purpose. So, these are different examples of running experiments as a manager. I was CIO of about 7 years of a company of 200 people in Rotterdam. One thing that I was proud of was that turnover dropped from 17 to nearly 0% when I took charge. Because I did some things apparently that made people happy. One of them was introducing agile practices, another was cutting up the resource pool of developers that all the project managers were fighting over. I said, no, we're going to have different teams, and they're going to make their own planning, and that was so much better. Now that brings me to an interesting question. Some of these successes, also things worked better, by the way. We made, our business and products became better as a company. Is it the success of the company and the success of these practices that helped everyone be happier in their jobs and not go away anymore? Or is it the opposite? Is it that the happiness of people usually leads to companies having more success? What do you think? Let's raise some hands. You can only raise your hand once. If you think that mainly the success of companies and practices leads to the happiness of people, raise your hands. If you think that is a stronger effect of those two. Let me see some hands. 3 hands, I see. Okay. All right. So that's 1.2% of the audience. And what about the other? For happiness leads to success. A vast majority. All right. Okay. Well, I think I agree with you, but I'm not entirely sure. Because you see, I read 2 fascinating books. Oh, read many more actually, but these are 2 where I took quotes from. We now know that happiness is the precursor to success, not merely the result, said Sean Aker of The Happiness Advantage. Great book, I gave it 5 stars. He acknowledges that it also works in the other direction, but the main effect is that happiness leads to success. But Phil Rosenzweig, professor of writer of The Halo Effect, said, does employee satisfaction lead to high performance? Probably, but the reverse effect is stronger. Interesting, although he talks of satisfaction, which most people equate with happiness, but it's not exactly the same thing. Headache, difficult, complex. Well, one thing that we know for sure is that happiness of people leads to more productivity of them and their organizations. That's what everyone agrees on, at least. It could be that 12% could be the profit margin of your company. So it makes sense to invest in a bit of happiness of employees. So, I was once in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, thinking about this topic and wondering what does it take for us to make ourselves and other people happier? It's an interesting country, by the way, Argentina. Nothing works, everyone is happy. Seriously. You come to the airport, you try to get some cash, there are 7 cash machines, all of them have a different error message. Amazing. Impossible to get any cash in Buenos Aires. So I was sipping a cocktail a few days later, which I had to pay for by reselling the contents of my minibar of my hotel room. And I was doing a bit of research into happiness. And it was meta-research, researching the research, because there's a lot of articles about this topic. This is what I found. These are the 12 things that make people happy. Thank someone and be appreciative to other people. Give something to another person every now and then. Help someone who is in need of assistance. Eat well, healthy foods for everyone. Exercise, work out. Rest well, sleep sufficiently. I just had 6 hours, not good. Experience new things, try something out, experiments. Hike outdoors, enjoy nature. Meditate, mindfulness practices. Socialize, hang out with friends. And finally, another one. Aim for a goal and a purpose. And then finally, smile whenever you can, even when you have to fake it, says the science. Seriously, yes. Researchers say that when you're not feeling entirely happy, just paint a smile on your face, and you'll feel a little bit happier. Apparently, your face will trick your brain into believing that you're a little bit happier, and it will actually make you a bit happy. So those annoying people who say, "Why aren't you smiling?" They have a point. Put up that smile, and it will make you a bit happier. These things can be done by managers too. You can do these things as well. Let's do a quick test. Let's do a quick test. If you thanked someone in the last 24 hours, I would like you to stand up. It's early Monday morning, it's stand up, it's exercise. Come on, stand up. If you thanked someone in the last 24 hours, stand up. If you've been appreciative to a colleague or a team member or a family member, friend, whatever. All right, Germans are very appreciative people, I can see that. All right, thank you. Thank you. Yep, that's it. You can sit down again. This was the easy one. How many of you have eaten well in the last 24 hours? No bratwurst. How many of you have eaten well, healthy food in the last 24 hours? Okay. No bratwurst, no schnitzel. All right. Oh, well, that's pretty amazing. That's about half the audience. Okay, good job. Yep. Let's make it more difficult. How many of you have meditated, applied mindfulness practices in the last 24 hours? How many of you in the last 24 hours? Meditation, mindfulness practices. Wow, these are the cool dudes. You see that? I am so proud of you. 4 people stood up. I suck at this. Seriously, I tried. I can't. I cannot keep my mind shut for just 1 second. It's horrible. All right, and the last one, how many of you had some good workout exercise in the last 2 minutes? Yay, everyone. And I see it helps. They're smiling, maybe not, maybe faking it, could be. Well, you can do these things as managers too. For example, I once took my software teams outside into the sun to have code reviews. They thought that was odd. I almost had to drag the software developers out of their caves into the sun. Oh my God, it's so bright, it's so bright. Don't turn it off, turn it off. That's the sun, you idiot. That's a real thing. You can't swipe it away. Now, sit in the grass over here on that tree trunk, and we had wonderful code review, and it was so nice. And afterwards, we did that often. I count that as hiking. It was actually only about 80 meters to the garden, but it was a long way for some of them. Hiking. And experiments, those are experiences over there, experiences. Every experiment that you run, even when they fail, they're still experiences that enrich you as a human being, and you will be a bit happier for the knowledge and the experience that you have. You can download these m30.me/12 steps if you want to remind your manager, or just do these things yourself with your team, and you will be happier for it, I promise you. And I call these the 12 steps to happiness, because as the researchers and scientists say, happiness is not a destination, it is a path that you take. It is not an outcome, it is a decision that you make. You just decide to be a happier person from now on by doing these things, and it will help you be happier on that path. I have two more examples for you, a couple of more. Oh, this is a favorite of mine. Values and culture and all that stuff. How many of you know, who knows from which company I stole this screenshot? Our values, our responsibility, and sustainability. From which company did I steal this screenshot? Does anyone know? Volkswagen, indeed. Yes, Volkswagen. Our values, our responsibility, and sustainability. I think this must be a rare case of German humor. We all know what Volkswagen did, right? They're still suffering for it. Do you know what the real purpose was of Volkswagen? Does anyone know? What is it that actually wanted to achieve? Anyone? Just shout it out. Yeah, success. Yeah. Sorry? More money. Yeah. But there was one specific thing that they wanted to achieve. Be the biggest. They wanted to be bigger than Toyota. That was the goal. That was communicated. According to the articles that I read, Harvard Business Review, etc., they said they were communicated to the employees that was what they valued most, becoming bigger than Toyota. And they became bigger than Toyota for a few weeks. Until, as the English say so beautifully, the shit hit the fan. I love that expression. I can just imagine it happening in the boardroom. Oh my God. So glad I wasn't there. So there's something missing in cases like this. There are many of these, of course. But this is just a well-known one that happened recently. Enron also had a list of 5 values that said integrity, honesty, and things like that. They were thieves. They brought the company down with thievery. So these things happen quite often. What people lack in these cases are as agile people would know, a feedback cycle that connects back what we say versus what we do. Some intelligent people call it the espoused values versus the enacted values. Are they the same, right? Is what we do here the same as what we claim that we're doing on the website? Maybe we should have a practice for that. This is what I'm doing with my team. I have a value stories channel on Slack. These are stories that we share of us discussing things happening that we want to talk about, because we're unsure what to do, and it somehow resonates with our company's values. So, for example, one of the last things I discussed with my team was one of our customers that we love very much, one of our favorite clients. She used some of our illustrations on her own business cards, and she actually tweeted them online, CCing us. So she wasn't even realize what she was doing, but there's a word for it. It's called stealing. So we felt a bit odd, like, okay, this is a compliment when somebody steals your stuff and even tells you about it, but this is not intended here, because these illustrations are copyrighted. I pay an illustrator to make those illustrations. I don't want them to end up in somebody else's business cards. So we had a discussion about that. Guys, what do we feel about this? And the illustrator said, conflicted. And these are good stories to have, good discussions to have. So we use a value stories channel to have these conversations. Other companies do other stuff. I know companies make handbooks or culture books where they share these stories with each other, what it means to actually work at an organization. The famous one is Zappos. They have a wonderfully illustrated culture book that they update frequently. You can download it as a PDF. It contains lots of values, but also lovely pictures, illustrations, etc. Another example is IDEO, famous design firm based in New York, I believe. They have their little book of IDEO. It has some values such as be optimistic, but are they really being optimistic? I don't know. They should have some stories about that, of them actually being optimistic. So comparing documented values with the stories is an important feedback cycle that you should have, and do this iteratively all the time. Another book that I read by Frederic Laloux, Reinventing Organizations, fantastic book. He said, he gave another example. Many organizations offer yearly value days, where people just share stories about purpose and values to connect back what is happening with what they want to happen. Just inquire how they actually live up to them. It's one of the most popular tweets I saw online last year. It was retweeted thousands of times. The culture of any organization is shaped by the worst behavior the leader is willing to tolerate. This resonated so well with many people, apparently. If something is happening that is not so good, and you do not take action as a leader or manager, then that will be the base level of your culture. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So that is also why I contacted this person and said, yeah, sorry, I love it that you like our illustrations, but we can't have you print them on your own business cards. Sorry, we cannot go there, because then other people are going to do that too, and it will just be a sliding scale. But I prefer the opposite, phrased in a different way. I mean, the culture of any organization is shaped by the best behavior the leader is willing to amplify. Because I like being more positive in my attitudes towards culture. So highlight the good stuff that is happening. Compliment people for that. And the bad stuff, okay, well, maybe a quick private conversation, but all the time highlighting the good things that people are doing. Sadly, this has not received thousands of retweets yet. Maybe after this conference. Maybe, no, probably not. Oh, well. Value stories and culture books, something that you should watch out for as a manager or leader. I have one more example. One final example. One of the favorite practices, according to my employees and others. I told you about bad bonus systems. They usually work like this. People earn a good amount of money throughout the year, and then at the end of the year, some people earn quite a lot more. That is the traditional bonus system, right? And usually what is applied here is what scientists call the Pareto principle, or Zipf's law, or the 80-20 rule. It means 80% disappears into the pocket of the top manager, and 20% goes to everyone else. That is the traditional approach to the bonus system. And this repeats itself on every management layer, where 80% disappears and 20% goes to the next layer. Right? They call that trickle-down economics for a reason, because there's almost nothing left by the time you get to the bottom. Many people don't like this. Many people don't like these bonus systems. You know one thing for sure, everyone hates the manager for taking most of that bonus money, and also for not doing a good job deciding where the rest of the 20% goes. That's why many people say, particularly at the conferences where I go, lots of agile events around the world, let's just pay everyone the same amount of money. Just not literally the same, but a constant amount. Right? So don't do silly bonuses, etc. Just keep it steady. If you have extra money, translate it to a salary raise for people. I understand the sentiment, but I do not agree. And I have a good reason for that. You probably know that 70% of all drivers think they are above average drivers. That makes no sense, but that's the way it is, yeah. I read once that 80% of college professors think they are above average college professors. These are smart people. They should understand the concept of average and 50%, not 80%. I am very sure that among keynote speakers, 90% think they are above average keynote speakers. It's the kind of people they are. So this is all about entitlement. People overestimate their own contributions to social systems. It was researched, actually. I saw the research a couple of months ago. They asked people on teams, how much did you contribute as a percentage to the overall performance? And they asked the people individually, they added the numbers up, and the average was 140 of the results. And actually there was a correlation between team size and this percentage. The bigger the team, the more people overestimate their own contributions to the whole. Another reason to keep teams small. So if you keep everyone at a steady salary, not differentiating between the better performance and the lesser performers, then you will basically demotivate at least 70% of the people because they think they deserve more. It won't be true, but you have no data to prove it. Right? So most people think, if we had a bonus system, I would have a bit more than everyone else because I perform better than she does. Right? It's not true, but that's how people think. So actually, I prefer having a bonus system, but with small amounts of money, just to offer that signal to people that keeps them realistic. This is how much you are, how well you are contributing to the team, and we do it like this. At the start of the month, each team member, we have 12 team members. Every start of the month, every person has 100 points, and throughout the rest of the month, they share these points with each other. They credit each other. So 10 points to Vorans for helping me out today. 5 points to Sergey for your super fast response time. 15 points to Pilar for not killing me when I screwed up the web server or something like that. So these points that they receive from each other, they build up over time. And I, as the business owner, every month I set aside some bonus money, which depends on the performance of the whole team. And like a jackpot, this bonus money also builds up over time. So the only thing left to do is to convert the credits that people earned from each other into real money received. Yeah. This is how we do that. We have a simple company rule. At the start of the month, one person throws a dice. If that person throws a 6, we pay out bonuses. No 6, no bonus. That's it. very simple. The reason we do it like this is so that none of us can predict when it is payout time. After all, we all know what happens when people are promised a bonus in December. They will have spent the money before they even received it. And when it is less than expected, as it often is, they will be demotivated. Oh my God, only 20 euros, but I just shopped at Louis Vuitton. That won't happen on our team. Our team loves the bonus system. They think it's their own little Las Vegas casino. And they can only win. It's great. By the way, the person who threw the dice, Louise, she was our dice thrower. Because according to the team, she had the magic hand. And she had, because in 11 months, she threw a 6 3 times. That is statistically above average. We considered renting her out to people at casinos. Sadly, she left because she had other priorities with her family, etc. So we are now looking for a new dice thrower. You have to prove your talent for the team. So obviously, this leads to questions. Lots of people have questions about our peer-to-peer bonus system, as I call it, or merit money system. Some people ask me, Jurgen, doesn't this become a popularity contest? Is it like the popular people get all the points? I don't know. I don't see it really on our team, but it could happen. But with a traditional bonus system, you already have a popularity contest. It is called kissing the boss's ass. That is the traditional bonus system that is already in place in most organizations. What we have is like democratized ass kissing. I can tell you, I have to kiss asses all week long to get a decent amount of bonus money. Yesterday it was Sergei's ass. Today it is Hanu's ass. Tomorrow it's Louise's ass. It is an ass all the time. I see asses everywhere. Seriously. Yes, that's what it means to be appreciated by team members. It is like moving from a dictatorship to a democracy. Nobody said democracies are easy. Actually, they suck. But the alternatives are even worse. So let's make the best of it as much as we can. So, our team loves the bonus system. I don't mean that you have to start paying each other money tomorrow, but I hope that you can be inspired by the things that could happen, that you could be doing. Like we use a tool, Bonusly, bonus.ly. Anyone can use it. It doesn't even include the money. That is what we add. It's just about crediting each other for performance. And then you decide what you do with the points that people earn. You could just use it as input for performance appraisals at the end of the year, for example. At least you have some actual data of how people have appreciated each other throughout the year. Another interesting thing is that the tool allows us to add company values. So each time we credit each other, everything is transparent. We see all the credits that we pay each other. So I have an app also. At any moment of the day, I can give someone 5 points for helping me out and then say helpfulness or commitment or any of the company values. So we can actually do some data mining. Which people contribute most to which company values, etc. The team loves it. Another experiment that I have been running. So, I got an interesting comment from one of my team members a year ago, Jennifer. She said something to me. She said, Jurgen, you are my first manager who doesn't suck. I had to think about that for a moment. I decided it was probably a compliment. 20 years ago, I was a terrible manager, but now I don't suck anymore. It will probably take me another 20 years to be actually any good. I look forward to that. Now, you're hopefully all trying to create great products and services, software products or software services or whatever. And hopefully you're aiming for some meaningful products there along the way. Well, I have no idea how to develop software. The team kicked me out, basically, after the 1000th of web server that was left hanging after I touched it. But I do know by now, after 20 years, how to do a little bit of management and how to realize your ideas with more purposeful organizations and meaningful products. It means aiming for these 7 silver bullets. Start by managing the system for some happiness and work your way up with more playfulness. Run some experiments and then accelerate the pace at which you learn stuff. You end up with more innovative management and products, and hopefully you build for more meaning. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great developer week.